What was your dream when you were a little girl?
My dream when I was a little girl was to be a choreographer.
What do you do now?
Now I am a consultant and I help nonprofit organizations increase their capacity to change the world.
Great. All entrepreneurs are social because they all eventually change the world. Do you agree with that?
I do. I actually do. And I do think that all of the changes in technology, all the innovations that have come forward have changed the world. And I feel less and less that the nonprofit sector should be viewed separately. I think it should be seen as part of this dynamic social change that's going on, and not so put over in this area as a charity, because I don't believe in it.
So where do you draw the line? How would you define social? What is social and what is not social?
I think that it's social benefit. In other words, if an organization is creating social benefit, if it's helping to create human capital, if it is changing in the area of social justice or human rights, anything that is directly visible as changing the world, I think as well. There are organizations that provide, arts and culture. And also, I just came from this exhibit at SMA called The Clock. It's phenomenal. And yes, it is a change-making piece.
Who is changing the world? Everyone is talking about, I'm changing the world, we're changing the world. Is it about the tech startup or the charity? What would you define nowadays? What changes the world?
I think that changing the world right now is more like stopping what is changing the world. And I think what is changing the world is a lot of self-absorption and a lot of greed and a lot of failure to really care about our fellow citizens. And so I see the change as being stopping this trajectory that we're on, where we are in fact we're ruining our climate. The article 2 days ago in the New York Times was absolutely devastating. If we stay on this, we are going to burn up our planet. And that's what they mean by change. What they mean is change the trajectory so that we get back to where we are responsible about the climate, where we're not paying people in Bangladesh, $34 a month to work in an unsafe building so that we can have cheap designer clothes.
So, how do you think this has evolved during the time, the definition of social and changing the world? How is it different?
I think it is different now because the social entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general loved the idea. They grabbed on it. And I can tell you that 15 years ago you never heard it. And then there were some really big thinkers who said social entrepreneurship, social enterprise, blended businesses where you can have for instance, Goodwill is a social enterprise. It has the stores where they employ the released felons, they give them job training, they generate income, and it funds more programs for felons who have been released from prison. And that whole idea of social enterprise was very appealing because what happened was that when we generated so much wealth in the U.S., it's been almost 20 years ago now that we generated this massive amount of wealth, is that people who generated it suddenly realized there was more to life than generating wealth. And they began looking for the self-actualization opportunities. And it came in the form of social entrepreneurship, social enterprise, seeing things that needed to be done in their communities. So I think it has had its momentum really since about the turn of this century. A little bit before, I would say the late 90s.
And so you see the future as You like the combination of social and profit,
Yeah, I do.
whereas non-profit.
I do. I think that the only way the values-based work of the what's now called the nonprofit sector, I think the only way it's going to really have the impact that it's capable of having is by working, as very large philanthropists do, by working with business, with other nonprofits, with government, to say, how can we solve the problem? Because the problem is too big. The problems are too big. Climate is too big, either for the for-profit or the not-for-profit or government to do. It's got to be all together. And the social justice issues that we have, globally, hunger, homelessness, poverty, no one sector or no one entity can really take care of it.
Can you give me an example of a company that you think is really playing an important role in changing the world, maybe from the Silicon Valley?
Well, I think that Cisco was long a leader in this, and Cisco, when they expanded into India for their manufacturing, realized that there was a lot of hunger and a lot of poverty in India. So they set up a whole division within their company that was based in India, and as a Cisco employee, you could have said, I'd like to apply for a year with this program, and you would go to India. You would not be working with the Cisco product. You would be working in the villages, and it was entirely Cisco money.
If there's one thing you could change in the world, what would it be?
It would be to have people understand both the gravity of what exists and the opportunities for making it right.